How we doing, traders? Welcome back. Of course, we're ready to take a look at what's going on right now. It looks like, of course, jobless claims coming in and shaking up the market. Let's talk all about it right here on the show. Let's take a look at the action right now. The SPY is come down since 8:30. We'll talk a little bit about that. Let's get to that. Let's take a look here as we are seeing the SPY come down a little bit here. I'll just extend this up here and we can talk a little bit about what happened there. Number coming in at 8:30, definitely shaking things up and starting to get a little bit of a down action, but it's really small compared to what we've seen, right? Look at the crazy bounce back on the daily chart that we have here. We'll see if we actually get down there, let's say cutting towards the 604.42s. That's when I would start being concerned. But what actually happened, right? What did we get? Well, we got initial jobless claims that come in at 219,000 versus 214,000. The estimate prior being 208,000. So a big jump, not a crazy jump, but a decent sized jump from the 2008 prior. So what this tells us is more and more is just a concern overall for the economy actually starting to get weak and for rate cuts. But the truth is at the end of the day, I mean, this isn't a bad thing, I think, in the long run, because if we get jobless claims to spike, then we'll get cuts, right? But how will the market react? Well, you guys see it. It came down and it looks like it might just come right back up. So definitely we've been on a little bit of a rally, and you guys can definitely see it, guys, since pretty much the third to where we are now. We're up about 2.3% and up about for 3 straight days, right? 3 straight green days. Will we make it a fourth? There's only one way to find out. Stick right here, of course, on TTP Live. We'll see if this is able to continue the trend higher and get back above, let's say, the 610, where you really start to shake them. And it looks like breakout city. And it seems like every single time we get down here, what do? We recover, right? And that's just the truth of the matter, guys. Since pretty much 2023, we've been on a straight upside breakout, right? And of course, there's could be always concerns that we could come back into some kind of dipping markets, right? But at least for the time being, it looks like a strong market here, guys. And if we think about it in perspective, of course, from the last Trump administration, yeah, we had a couple of dips maybe in 2019, but we recovered that pretty strong going into 2020. And then, of course, came the pandemic. So let's see what happens if this trend can just continue the trend higher and get through the highs. Of course, monthly highs are all in the same area around the 610. I think this is vital to see if we start to break through, because this could be breakout city. We'll see what happens there in the SPY. We'll get into the playbook. We'll take a look at what's going on in the sunrise report. We got a lot to talk about right here, of course, on TTP Live. If you guys haven't, of course, hit the like already. Hit the like. And if you guys are watching this on X, do me the favor. Hit the like. Hit the retweet. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do so myself, guys. Let's go ahead and give it a little retweet action. And you guys out there, if you guys haven't done so already, do me the favor. Go ahead and hit the retweet. I'm going to go ahead and, of course, you guys can follow me like always, MoneyMitch_TTP. Let's go to Trade the Pool and give it a nice little retweet here as we're live. Look at that. Boom. Retweeting it, guys. You guys hit the like. You guys are tuning in right now on X. And if you click the stream, you can actually drop a comment right there, guys. So if you guys haven't dropped a comment before, definitely go ahead and do so, guys. Drop those comments, get after it. Let me know what you guys are seeing in the market. Look, I'll drop a comment there. Watching LEU. All right, you guys out there, smash a like. I hope you guys enjoy the action. And of course, follow me on Twitter to keep up with all the action. And you guys out there on X right now, hit that like, hit the retweet. Let's keep things going. We'll see what we got up our sleeves today. Ralph Lauren tapestry lifting off there. We'll talk a little bit about that. Look at the luxury good TPR ripping here, guys. Straight ripping. We'll talk a little bit about that. And if you think about it on the daily, look at that push right now, guys. Let's get to some of the stocks out there. Philip Morris ripping through the moon, guys. Holy moly, what's going on in tobacco? We need to take a look what's happening there. As, of course, all the concern out there is, I guess, causing a bunch of cigarette smokers, as they did pretty good. The company is kind of shining here amid the company's smoke-free transformation, of course. So maybe not so many cigarettes. We'll see what happens there, guys. Definitely getting a big push, though. Big push for Philip Morris. Let's talk about different stocks. We'll get into today's playbook. Then we'll take a look at what's going on in the market. We'll go to the Sunrise Report. There's a lot of earnings reports to check out. Let's get to the action. It's first up. It's the playbook. All right, guys, first up is going to be that LEU trade. I'm actually looking to see what happens with this one today, guys. LEU has been one that I was able to catch on the gap, right? And I think this gap could fill today, and we can start getting the move back there towards 91. And this is at 91.31. We're trading right now at the 85.59 and looking to see if nuclear stocks overall can get another lift. Yesterday, getting a big pump off of Trump's mention with Iran blowing them to smithereens. Well, we'll see what happens with that action. Hopefully no one's getting blown up to smithereens. But hey, you got to keep watching and trying to make money off of it. CCJ, another way to play this yesterday, recovered to 50. We'll look to see if this can get right back up there and push through the 51 and 52. This is all stocks to look at in nuclear space. There's so many names, right? There's CEG. All this action has been really pushing, right, guys? GEV is another one that has pulled back that I see as another gap fill that could come right back up here. So I'm looking to maybe play that gap right back in that space. It's been kind of hanging out here. We'll see what happens with GE Veranova. All right, let's keep it going, guys. We'll get into the next one in the playbook. Let's go to short Tesla as we take a look at that one. Yes, I said it, guys, and it's hard to even say that on X because I'm sure I'm going to get hit for it. But Tesla yesterday was my bet to the downside, and it did amazing, guys. I should have been able to hang on to that first piece. It did come back towards my level. Maybe shorting it again at 1 p.m. was the move because this went down fast at 375, and now this morning was trading at 370. I talked about it when it was close to 400 that it made sense for me to see 300 before we saw 400 again. Now we're heading towards major support, and it could be heading back down towards that 200 EMA. So to me, Tesla still a short, and so is GM. So is Ford. We'll talk a little bit about Ford and GM, and Ford giving a bad guidance just tells me more and more. Yes, I'm on point with this, guys. And I think that I'm going to continue to watch to see the used car auto trend continue to go higher. KMX, one of my top swings of the year. Definitely looking to see if this can really start to take off. It's looking great. Take a look at Carvana. Carvana really pushing. So if there's one to the upside, I like Carvana to the upside while Tesla is on the downside. Why? Used autos will be the move, at least I feel like, for 2025. All right, guys, let's keep it going. We'll take another look into a different stock here. Let's go towards now taking a look into the financials as I've been looking at this space, and it's been doing really well. This is an equally weighted outlook, but look at the XLF. It's been also doing well. And I talked about how the banks could do really well before this, and I was talking about JPM and how Bank of America could have a good move yesterday. Really nice move yesterday. Started to move higher. Now moving outside of the trend line, giving an ability to maybe go for the break. So XLF is the way that I'm looking at it as it keeps holding the 9 EMA. Really good action yesterday off that 51. And the truth is, at the end of the day, they've been doing awesome since Trump was in president. And I think they're going to continue to do well, as this could be one of the best sectors, at least for the first half of the year. We'll see what happens there in the financial sector. All right, guys. And of course, you guys can maybe look at a kind of a retail name like SoFi to see if it can start to come back. It has pulled back a significant amount. Maybe this can start to push right back up there. We'll see what happens there in SoFi and some retail love. All right, guys, well, that's enough to do with our playbook. The playbook every day here to give you guys a look into different stock plays that I'm looking at, right? Like you guys should have your own playbook every single day, guys. So smash the like. Let's get it going. Let's go to the Sunrise Report. We got a lot of earnings reports to talk about. Let's get running through them. And then, of course, we'll take a look back into the market. Let me just take a look peek here. Are we still a little bit on that leak here from the number, or are we starting to get back towards that action? And that's exactly what's happening here. Of course, at the 8:30, we did get a little bit of a dip there. Now we're coming right back up there, guys, trying to break through the high. We'll see if the SPY can just keep on climbing and climbing that wall of worry. All right, guys, let's keep it going. Let's go to Sunrise Report and take a look at what's moving in the market and why. Shout out to Bustelo Coffee right quick. Had to take a little bit of an espresso break before we start the Sunrise Report. Of course, pinkies up like always, guys. What's going on out there, traders? Say hello. If you're new to the show, go in the comments. Tell me one stock that you're watching today. I'll make sure to cover it during the show. All right, guys, we'll see what else is out there. And I'm still battling in the funded account, guys. But at least was able to bounce back off a tough day, a tough loss on Monday with the main account at 2,200 on that one. Still within kind of like $50 for the small limited account. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up here as I've been kind of just battling, guys. Still going to take a look to see if I'm able to nail that today. I'm at $12.97, so $53. Well, we got this today, guys. We're going to get after it. First up, let's talk about Eli Lilly as one of the stocks that I was watching yesterday for a nice little raise. And it did do a nice little push. It just pulled back first. Now, this did get the push, of course, this morning all the way up there to 874, but now pulling back to the 840. So I think this is an opportunity here to maybe look into what's going on in the report. So Eli Lilly, a mixed Q4 results despite the weight loss drug booming, right? Of course, Eli Lilly reported a mixed fourth quarter with the blockbuster weight loss drugs, Zepbound, and diabetes treatment, Mounjaro, seeing soaring demand, but lower realized prices. And this is the concern that's come into this space. For a while there, it was all about just get it out there, get it out there. And at what cost? As we slowly started to see how the cost of these drugs were really high, what did you start to see in Congress and things like that? Well, the battle about lowering the prices on these drugs. Well, let's talk about the EPS here. It's not like they're not profitable, guys. $5.32 versus a $4.95 expected. Revenues, though, missed here. And I think that's where you're really starting to see the downside in the lower realized prices, right? Revenue at $13.53 billion versus a $13.57 billion expected. The guidance on 2025 EPS at $22.05 to $23.55, which is in line with the expectation. And that's overall 2025 EPS. The 25 revenue forecast at 58 to 61 billion, not looking too bad. The key takeaways, of course, is that those two top drugs underperformed the expectations from the second straight quarter due to inventory issues. So that's something that we definitely need to keep a watch on. Eli Lilly will report late-stage data on its next-gen obesity drug. So that's something to definitely take a look at. This is ahead of schedule, and it's going to be reported later this year. So if you're looking for a positive outlook in Eli, that can be something to look for down the line. And what does this do is that it mimics hunger regulating hormones like GLPs and GIPs, setting it apart from the competitors. So that's kind of like the next step up in their weight loss drug. Of course, if you take a look at the actual drugs themselves, Mounjaro did $3.53 billion versus a $3.62 billion expected. Zepbound did revenue miss of $1.91 billion versus a $1.98 billion expected. Demand slightly outpacing supply, but lower prices are causing that pressuring sales growth. We're going to move on to Qualcomm and other earnings here, but I already see Michael in the back, so let's just go ahead. Let's start the show. We'll talk a little bit more about the earnings report as we take a look at some of the charts out there. Normally, I'm already through all this, but let's just get the show started. Let's take a look at what's going on out there, guys. You know where you're at. It's TTP. Let's get it started. Wants 200, baby. You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at. What's going on, traders? Let's go ahead. Let's bring on the man himself, Michael Noss in the house. How we doing, man?
Doing well. How about yourself? Another range-bound day, it looks like, eh?
Yeah,
In the middle
man.
of it.
But what about the jobless? The jobless. It came in and just I think did it even do like a point one of a move down? I mean, it was a small move there.
Yeah.
And it actually did come in a little hotter than expected, right? But I mean, I just think at the end of the day, at least we're not so focused on economic data like we were at some point, because I
Yeah.
still remember to the day where we were just like jobless claim watching and looking to see what would happen there, and every single time we were watching these numbers, I mean, now they're looking like nothing burgers even when they come out a little bit higher. Today getting a little bit of a spike there, but I think it's just something to watch in the long run. I mean, the
It's
only
all
thing
it's
that
all rates, right? It's all everything everyone's doing is just saying, okay, what's the is this gonna stop them from raising rates or lowering
Yeah.
rates?
Can
And
they cut
yeah,
or will they raise rates? Now that is the real concern, right? I mean, if that would happen,
I would
yeah,
look out below if they raise
yeah,
rates. But
exactly, right? So I think at the end of the day that's not I think what any of us think. I mean, the only way
no,
that would happen is extreme inflationary pressures come back into the market. But I mean, let's just be honest. The way that I see inflation is that it takes some time. Even during the
mhm,
pandemic, right? It's not like the pandemic happened and in 1 month that inflation was there, right?
yeah,
And I think that's where some traders get it wrong, right? Tariffs will bring inflations, but it's a trickle down effect, and it takes some time to actually get down into the numbers. You might see it at the grocery stores before you actually see it in the economic data,
yeah.
right? And I think that's exactly what it's about, right? We see it all the time. The CPI measures the food prices, right? But the food prices have to rise first for it to show up in the CPI, right? And so
Lagging
that's where I
data.
think, yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I think some guys just try to get too ahead of that, right? So that's why I think we're also having this quick sweep up, right? On Monday we talked about kind of like the market cycles of bubbles. I tried to bring it up a little bit
Hmm.
here, and one of the things that I said is, were we more in the enthusiasm stage than we were in the denial stage, right? On the
Hmm.
downside of thing, I think we're seeing some of that enthusiasm in the market. What are you seeing there, Michael?
Same thing, right? We're knocking on all-time highs. That certainly can't be bearish, right? There's
Yeah,
no
you
way you
can't
can
be mad.
frame all-time highs bearish. And with the interest rates, I think a lot of it is you have the most powerful man in the world who's basically said, I want interest rates down and I'm going to do anything to make them go down. So, when those things happen, it's absolutely going to cause the interest rates to go down. Right? He will figure out a way to do it, even if he can't. I've heard mixed signals of whether or not he has the ability to fire J Pow, but what he moves him to an office in Siberia or something, right? He'll figure it a way. So if interest rates are getting lowered, I think that's part of the thing that's pricing in. So people are just watching these economic numbers to see if there's anything crazy, and even
Yeah.
if it's within the range at all, it's going to be good. But yeah, we got the SPY bumping up near all-time highs. We have RSP, which is our equal weight, actually doing a little bit better. IWM, the strength in IWM yesterday was really surprising to me. IWM outperformed all of the other sectors. So this is showing a rotation, and a rotation away from the big guys, potentially into the smaller guys, which is partly an interest rate story, right? They think interest rates are going to move lower. But yeah, just partly maybe deregulation, or the fact that tariffs, I guess, wouldn't affect these kind of more mom pop type companies as much. They're not going to be shipping and buying things nearly as much from abroad. So really good look there. It's the Qs that are still lagging. So just again, more evidence that we are rotating away from the things that may have worked the last couple of years into new things, which is fine as long as you're willing to adapt. So just here on the heat map, we have WGMI, which is our Bitcoin miners. That's obviously going to move with Bitcoin. So that's our best winner here. Really, the worst loser we have is 1.2% in all the sectors I watch, and that's Jets. So that's great, right? If the worst sector that I'm looking at is down 1%, and it's airlines, which is right often down 1%. That's looking good. A lot of things here. K-Web, we have psychedelics, which had a monster move yesterday. We have marijuana that's actually holding up surprisingly enough. Usually this thing gets 1 day of movement and then it's donezo. So I'm still watching this one a little bit for potential kind of bottom fishing, a little bit of a long-term trade. But yeah, pretty much one of those stories that right now, as of 20 minutes until the open, everything's pointing up. So the question is, can that hold? When it comes to economic reports, that was it. So the unemployment gains or claims is all we have. We've got some Fed people speaking in the afternoon, but they're colored yellow, so it doesn't seem like they're going to have much of an effect. So really, I think one of those things, I think the biggest focus for the next little bit is going to be on earnings. You mentioned QCOM. Right, we said that as Google earnings that didn't do well. We had QCOM that didn't do very well. So we've had a couple of these kind of earnings plays that aren't looking the best. So we need to start to see those recovering. I think ARM was actually okay, considering everything that was happening. So yeah, I think that's more of what we're looking at than anything, is saying, okay, we know interest rates are going to get lowered. The big man upstairs is going to make it happen. So we don't really care what these economic reports say anymore, because he's just going to lower interest rates regardless. I think the big story is, what are the earnings? Are earnings growing or are they shrinking? Right. That's going to have a long-term effect on what's happening in the overall market. This PSIL, right? I know I've been hammering this one, and full disclosure, I own a lot of MindMed and the others, but just a solid breakout, 3 monster days in a row here. So again, showing that I want to use this as an example, because we've been talking about this for weeks now, and I've been buying a fair amount of it. I think this is going to be the market where we're going to be in, is that we all have to look, and you guys in the audience, make sure you're telling us if you see a sector. I think it's going to be these under the hood sectors that have maybe not performed well over the last couple of years, even because we've all been focused on AI. I think this rotation is going to start happening, where people sell their AI plays that have made them a whole bunch of money, and then they're buying all of these individual names. So this psychedelic sector is breaking out. MSOS is actually breaking out of this range that it's had for a long time. We talked a lot about healthcare with XLV, broke out, gapped up a little bit today, but pulling in. So yeah, I think we all have to kind of put our heads down and say, okay, which one is next? Right? PSIL is up, or MindMed alone is up like 50% in the last 3 days. So if we can find the next sector that's going to start looking like this and going to start breaking out, that's where I think a lot of the money is going to be from that swing trading side of things anyway.
Yeah, I think that's definitely where it's at. Yesterday was able to make some money on that Google trade, at least on the pullback. Wasn't able to get as much, right? Still thought that maybe it could come back to the 195 today. It's already leaking a little bit. So going to keep focus on Google as a little bit of an indicator to see what happens there. But really quickly, at least to just run through some of these, of course, Qualcomm smashed some earnings, but they're not looking that great this morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the concern is for me, is that some of these earnings haven't been that bad, and they're still getting that kind of blow off top look, right? Where a lot of the algos buy because they read the numbers really quickly, right? Like Qualcomm's like EPS. If I had an EPS like algo and it read 341 with a 296 expected, well, that seems like, yeah, all right, buy, right? Well, yeah, that's exactly what that algo tried to do. And it just did not turn out well for that algo. And I think that we've been seeing more and more action like this. So sometimes we see like the first reaction be that down wick and then the recovery, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this case, we're seeing a lot more of these up wicks and then the downside to come in, right? So things like that is what I'd be looking at. ARM did a kind of shake on both sides. That's when it really gets tough, right? When you get the shake on both sides, big wick on both sides there. So, hey, we'll see if these can continue. I mean, at least Qualcomm's earnings really weren't that bad when you look underneath. The revenue's all looking good, guidance above expectation, key business segments growing. What is struggling there? That's the questions, right? There's some tailwinds, though, of course, and that has to do with China and kind of AI, right? So those are the things that are going to be looked into. Samsung now exclusively is using Qualcomm chips and Galaxy devices. Also, another thing that is a good positive for them, right? AI models running locally on Qualcomm chips. DeepSeek R1 actually runs on Qualcomm chips. So to kind of mention and bring in DeepSeek, right? So that was a good mention there. All good mentions. That's where I'm like, man, where's the struggle, right? Where is the takeaway here? At least from what I can see, is there's a lot of things firing on all cylinders, yet it's not getting the love today. Something to think about, right? I feel like the AI players overall are starting to struggle a little bit with the high bar, and expectations that are put on these companies right now. And I think that's something to think about, right? Is the top names, right, the ones that we should be looking at here, or are we starting to see more of that broadening out rally, right? And I think that's what we're seeing a little bit.
Well, I think that's the big thing to focus on, and that kind of dovetails into what I was talking about with these different sectors starting to come out of nowhere. And it's what
Exactly.
you want to see, right? Ralph
Yeah.
Alcampora, the creator of the CMT, always says rotation is the lifeblood of a bull market. You have to have essentially what we're talking about when we talk about rotation is that we need, when people make a bunch of money in sector A, Ozempic, AI, those were the high flyers last year. Eventually, you don't make money until you sell, right? So you got to sell those at some point to realize that gain. And then the question is always, okay, then what? When you realize that gain, do you just sell it and raise cash? That's what people do in bear markets. That's why you generally don't see rotation, is they're worried about the state of the economy. They're worried about the state of the market. So they will sell whatever they're up on and they will buy bonds, gold, cash, right, and raise all of these things. And you can see this because we can see cash deposits. All banks have to report them and everything like that. When you are in a bull market, they're going to make more bets on the market. If you are bullish on the economy and the market overall, but you just think AI may have weaned out, the gains that you're going to make in AI are going to decrease a little bit, then you sell your AI plays, you buy something else. So that's when we talk about rotation and we talk about hunting for rotation. That's what we're trying to do, is we're saying, okay, if they're going to sell all their AI plays, that is billions of dollars that's now sitting in cash. And most funds, you got to understand, are not allowed to sit on cash, and they're not allowed to be short. Most institutions have a mandate that they have to be invested in the market. So where does that go? If it goes again into bonds, if it goes into safe assets, then that just shows us that they're worried. If it's going into things like IWM, which I mentioned here, which we're seeing some evidence of buying in IWM, then that means they're looking for that next bet. So this is why we spend so much time, and I think traders and investors should spend so much time looking at individual sectors, looking at trying to figure out what is happening next. And PSIL is just a perfect example of that, where a lot of people are dumping a lot of money into this particular sector right now. So if we can find a couple of those as a group, ITA, defense and aerospace, is one that I'm watching. XLV, which is healthcare, is one that I'm watching. If that's where the money's going to flow, then that's great, because our advantage as retail traders is we can hop on these trends really quick and we can get out really quick. Whereas if you're a large hedge fund or institution, you have to buy for weeks or for months to get into these positions. So that's what creates trends, is this flow of money. So that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to find the flow, right? Find the flow of money, hop on, get involved as long as we can, and then jump off before, hopefully, a lot of the institutions. And yeah, you mentioned it, like ARM was another one, doesn't look good, right? QCOM is not looking great. We have NVIDIA, right? That's still well below highs. So a lot of these chips now are underperforming when they used to be our leaders. So yeah, let's try to figure out what's next. That would be fun.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens sometimes, and I think that it's normal though too, right? Kind of like a little bit of a pocket of just sideways consolidation would be good in these AI stocks, and I think that's what's needed. A little bit of some slowdown, right? And I think that that's what's actually, in the long run, a positive for these companies, not necessarily a negative. I think I'll be watching to see what comes out of it, right? We did get a mention in the chat. Got to mention it also. I mean, hey, Michael, we caught this early on, man. We gotta
QNTM.
tell people more about it. QNTM, baby. When you bring in those names like you bring in and you combine themes like we talked about. As soon as I saw this, you guys, I had a tear in my eye, and it should have told me that I should have been trading it more and more. I traded it on day 1, day 2 yesterday, going bananas, even further than I was on day 1. I was able to get this from like $5 and sell it close to $6, guys. This thing went to 728 that day. Then the next day, yesterday, it opened up at 650s, a low of 575, and then a high of 1005. Today, a high of 1307. So crazy move here. In just about 4 days, nothing like 294%.
I mean, you're trying to even figure out what these guys do, but yeah, I think this is just a hype-driven kind of name. Again, shows the animal spirits are still looking for all of this. Where
they're just combing the ditches, man. I call that combing the ditches, looking for anything related to grab.
This is a cannabis name, medical cannabis. It operates through strategic investments, blah blah blah. But yeah, they're looking at.
Dude, I'm sure some people trading this don't even know that it's weed stuff.
No, it has quantum in it, so therefore
it has quantum, bro. It's when did you hear about quantum?
I added it to this list, so again, I'm currently, and I'll update you guys, running this system, and so far so good. Knock on wood. I don't want to break anything, but had a great day yesterday. So just go over one of the trades quickly. Was AMD buying it through the VWAP here, rallied pretty much all day, got out at the end of the day. So I've got my list here. Most of them are just earnings name, right? We're trying to fade Skyworks, Roblox, PI, Form, Google, and Qualcomm. So I'm looking to buy these things back through their VWAPs. And then to the short side of things, I added that quantum, because if that ends up spending some time above VWAP and breaking down, looking to fade that. Some other names like Hershey's, for the first time in ages, is actually gapping up. And some of these other names here. Hershey's, after the RFK confirmation, is interesting that's moving. A lot of these things are going the opposite way. So you think he'd be looking to shut that whole company down if he could.
Yeah, one of the things is of course, those like color things and all those things that are going to be coming into the space, they got years to kind of fix things. So, I mean, it'd be a whole nother thing if they were like, well, tomorrow you need to cut that out, because then all that inventory would just go to trash, right? I mean, then that would be a whole nother ball game. But if they got years to change things, I mean, like every other company, they'll just pivot. They'll find another way to either bring something that's more natural and raise the price, or they'll just emit it altogether, right? And create new products or stuff like that. So I think in the long run, it's Hershey's. At the end of the day, it's not what it used to be. Even candies overall. I mean, Mondelez is the one I always take a look at, MDLZ, and that's not looking like it's too hot either. October was the top there, right before we went into Halloween. You were thinking you were going to get your Halloween candy, but instead they stuffed it to you guys. It's been down since then. It's about 25% since October. So
you can eat your apples, right? Who makes
that's it, man. That's it. In Canada, I think it's too cold to go Halloween. It's already cold in October. I mean, you guys probably do it in the snow already up there.
Oh, we do, yeah, but you give a kid a chance for candy. Doesn't matter if he's going to freeze to death when he's out there.
All the kids are out there in the snow, man. Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see what happens. I did see a couple of the smaller stocks moving. This LiPo, guys. Look at this thing. This thing was absolutely rocketing this morning. Went from about $3 up there now towards $7.50. So we'll see what happens with some of these smaller names. I'll keep an eye out on it, guys. I'm looking around out there, seeing this one right now make a move. CRPT. Don't know this one at all. CRPT. It looks like it's a Skybridge crypto industry digital economy. I have no idea, but when the name's too big to fit in the chart, that's a telling sign.
It's First Trust, so I think it's an ETF.
Yeah, it's a First Trust ETF, right? But man, did you really have to name it with this big old lock?
Well, that's why WGMI is just way better, right? CoinShares Bitcoin miners ETF. That's what I
There you
use
go.
for,
That
right?
that that sounds a lot easier to understand, man.
Yeah, just
But at
simple.
least it is moving right now, and that's Skybridge crypto industry digital economy ETF. They just tried to fit everything they could in there, man. They might as well added. They should have just added quantum, right? I mean, at this point, you might as well just do crypto quantum digital
Ozempic.
weight loss.
What other what other buzzwords can we cram in there? They're trying to play
Yeah,
the SEO game, I guess, with their
but
ETF.
just as a learning lesson, I think this is so important, guys. Look for the buzzwords, right? Look for that, man, because
Yeah.
that's where we still have edge, right? That's where, certain institutions can't just get a buzzword and then just go buy QNTM, right? They just can't do that. They can't just show like, oh, I'm just going to go buying this because it has quantum in the ticker. Now we can
Mhm.
still do things like that, right? So just keep that in mind. There's always going to be a new hype word either. We don't know what that is in 25 just yet. Stay
Yeah.
tuned.
So
We could find out, right? I mean, I think that's a very important thing.
yeah, so CRPT, you've got MicroStrategy. Again, guys, his TC 2000 seems to do this great automated, but
Yeah.
they have to do this every day. It's like by law, they have to update the holdings of their ETFs.
Yeah.
So I just Googled CRPT holdings and here you go. So yeah, it's 18% MicroStrategy and 17% Coinbase. So between the two of
Mm,
those, that's a big chunk. So that's going to move really close with crypto, which actually looking at both of those, Coinbase and MicroStrategy, they're not doing too well. So this CRPT, I don't know, is there something going on here we could take advantage of? Is there volume?
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if
We,
it's
we we have to find what's going on there. Why is it really getting the lift, right? I see Wolf is in there. I see Riots in there, but I don't see anything that's really kind of like
oh
taking off.
yeah, this is looks like it's probably just an errant tick, right?
Aaron
This
tick.
is what
Yeah, that
yeah.
happens. Off
Because some
exchange tick or something.
But yeah, sometimes, guys, you can take a look at this where
Yeah.
every now and then there'll be an ETF that a large order gets pushed through, and that ETF moves, and the underlying holdings hasn't, and there's a little bit. It's very rare, but there's a little bit of. I hate the word arbitrage because arbitrage kind of implies risk-free money, but there's a little bit of money to have there where you could short this name and buy MSTR and Coinbase, and when they converge a bit, you could do that. But it's one of those that's going to be a little bit hard to get filled, I think, when it comes to something that's done one. Right, this is the 1 minute chart. It's just done one print basically up there. So
All right, guys, we'll see what's going on out there. I'm catching some biotechs, of course, getting a lift today, and it just seems like that's not a bad area to look into. You got
mhm.
LIPO, you got INVA, of course. RNAS was one of the biggest movers yesterday, up about already 25%. We'll see what happens on these therapeutic stocks and things like that. At least that's what I'm seeing out there. Some pharmaceuticals, some therapeutic stocks making a move. And of course, if XLV and kind of the healthcare area is going to stay strong, that's not a bad area to keep watch. When you think about it, XLV's continued push. And yesterday, it finally got through that 148. It took a little while there, but it wasn't a bad move overall. A nice little hold on that 147. That was one of the stocks to watch yesterday. Really nice hold of the VWAP on that strategy. But XBI is definitely something also to watch. I'm seeing you showing that. And I
Yeah.
think what's a good thing to look at is can XLV continue to lead and then XBI maybe kind of follow along?
Yeah, and it's so it's market cap, right? So if you and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, if XLV, gonna be a lot of your big guys in there. And again, you can always I just want to show everyone, right? XLV holdings, and it'll be pretty much the first thing that pops up. Um, and you can see there's going to be a lot of big names in here, right? Eli Lilly, UNH, Johnson Johnson, ABBV, right? Big guys that are in here. XBI is a little bit smaller, so XBI is more of where right? You generally start out as a biotech and then eventually you become a healthcare stock. That's the only difference between, say, Eli Lilly and a MindMed is that Eli Lilly's got a whole bunch of stuff that they can sell you that is FDA approved and already figured out. Whereas something like a XBI is completely different. There's going to be a lot of these smaller kind of junkier holdings. So that comes down to leverage, right? Obviously, if you're a smaller, more speculative ETF with smaller, more speculative names in it, you're going to move more, which is good if you're right, and obviously bad if you're wrong, which means you can apply less capital. So the XLV is going to kind of be your bellwether. You're going to have, if you look at these charts, they're really similar, right? So that's XBI and there's XLV. They're fairly close because you're not going to have the healthcare sector ripping and biotechs doing poorly and vice versa. These things are going to kind of move together. So it's more about, where you're looking to get involved. It's noting a little bit of move here in some of the Qs. 2.5. Sorry, Google. That's what I'm seeing on this chart. Yeah, Google's selling a little bit here, so it'll be interesting to see selling into the open. I don't know if there's a news event or if this is just, some profit taking come in or whatever. These are still, again, stuck in a range, so we have to pay very close attention to a lot of these names to see if it's something that we're going to get a move off of a little bit later. We got 2 minutes to the open, so sometimes when you see these, them cram down or rip up a stock a few minutes to the open, it means that someone's getting ready to fill a big order. In a lot of cases, it could be the other way, right? Maybe they're jamming Google down off the open to try to get some stops, and they're going to rip
Shake them before you bake them, man. I remember, especially when you talk to floor traders, you hear more stories of moments like that, right, Michael? I'm sure you've talked to some that have been like, yeah, man, they'll be like, short 10 million. And then it starts coming down and they're like, you know what? Buy 30 million.
Yeah.
and that's how they can do it to you guys, right? They can see a support that everybody's having their kind of liquidity sitting there, right?
Right.
Then they're like, you know what? Let's just go destroy that support and bring it back because we're expecting to buy this, but we also can't be buying it at, the new high or the high of the day. So how could we maybe knock this down and then bring it past an important level and kind of do that oops reversal style trade, or some people call it the undercut and rally style trade?
Yeah, it's they need liquidity, right? And the whole thing of, are they trying to look for your stop in particular? It's like, no, right? Unless your stop is for 20 million shares, they don't care. But if you are at a level with everyone else, they don't necessarily look for the stop. They look for the level, right? High days, low days, pre-market highs, pre-market lows. These are just very common areas. So yes, you see it, and we showed to you on the SPY, I think Monday and Tuesday, it happened where you had an undercut of the pre-market low or the pre-market high, and then you ripped it. So I'm actually going to leave Google up here just because we opened just for fun, just to see if we're right on that one. And they were kind of jamming it down on the open. And it looks
all
like,
right, guys, we're open. Let's get after this market, guys. You guys do your best out there. Keep battling out there, and we'll see what we're able to come up with here. And like always, guys, let us know what stock is on your radar. What are you seeing moving out there? We can all help each other. Let's get after it out there, guys. It's time.
What's going on there? So yes, I'm just going to take the kind of overnight highs and the overnight lows, just like we've been doing, and just mark them up and see what's going on. I'll probably just do this candle right here and just see, right, are we going to hold these highs and lows, or are we going to rip in the other direction? Right now, first candle up and down. We'll see what's going on there. Google, they did both. They ripped it off the open. They're jamming it back down. So a little bit of battle. But again, first few minutes. One thing I do like to look on the open, now that all these ETFs are opening up and starting to get liquidity, you get a pretty good idea of what's going on here. Copper, CopX, these are copper miners up 2.85%. That's a pretty decent move for copper. So COPX.
All right, guys, looking at apps, Digital Turbine here out the gates. Nice little spike out the gates. Has some good relative volume. Looking to see if I can catch this 330 pullback here.
So yeah, APPS with good reaction. We have a nice little gap up here on earnings. We'll be interested to see if it holds or if not. I got to make sure my alerts are set here. I think so. Yeah.
All right, guys, long a little bit of apps now.
So yeah, I have the alert set, but I generally, my game plan, again, as I'm learning this setup, is I'm going to wait probably the first 10, 15 minutes at least, and then start to look for some of these reversions after that. That opening range has been set. Looks like Skyworks just kind of ripping here off the open. QCOM is one that I wanted to watch. That's just fighting back and forth with this VWAP. So
let's see it, guys. Let's see it. This is the small limited account doing pretty good already on the first action here. I really wanted to see it break the high of day and really just start taking off to 4. If that could happen, we could have a nice trade on here, guys. I already set the break even. So no matter what, I'm already break even. I'm just trying to see if this could really take off here.
this is the one that is close. Is it?
Oh, you know it, my friend. $52 away. So
I'm
we get to 393s where I could see this maybe going to 4. I'll cash at the 390s, 393s there. So let's see if we can get it, guys.
So yeah, QCOM is interesting to me. I'm watching this guy. You can see it's put in a green arrow here, but right, we need to see the candle close a bit. But the reason I like this one as opposed to some of the others is just we've undercut this support here in the pre-market with what was going on. If there, put in that candle. Yeah, so we've undercut this support the last couple days. We've done that twice now, and then we're holding on. So the question is, can we continue to hold on? Is this something that looks like it's going to push higher? Because if so, we could take a little bit of a scalp there just to, again, fade the gap. The strategy is with this one from VWAP to VWAP. So that would be 66 all the way up to 72, which would be pretty good considering I'd probably put my stop just kind of down here. You can see a bunch of alerts coming through in the first 2 minutes, but I'm going to ignore some of those. I'm just interested in this one.
All right, guys, cut out break even there. Cut out break even. Still looking at it. Might get back in it here, but it just it's trying to gain some volume here at the VWAP.
So I did end up taking that QCOM. We'll see if we move up to this. Again, I wanted to wait a little bit longer, so we'll see. So again, I'm long right in here, and then I'm looking to see if we retake that VWAP, and then I've got to stop here at low. So again, the thing I like about these is they're simple. I'm a simple man when it comes to all of my trading, but my day trading in particular is something I definitely want to simplify because I just know I'm not very good at it. So the more I can systematize, the better. Now, again, you see 9 alerts came through here right off the open. This is why, again, I think waiting for the first 15 minutes or so would help. But, things like Roblox, right, above the VWAP, Skyworks, again, cross in that first 2 minutes. So, right, we're waiting just to see. So one thing I'm going to do in the system, I need to just find some time today, is to, let me actually type out my reminder while I'm talking to you guys, is just to make sure that it has to exist under or over VWAP for, let's say, 4 or 5 candles before it alerts. I want to very much limit those alerts. I don't want to get spammed too much because it's about taking a couple quality trades a day, right? I'd say 3 to 5 would be kind of my max, and then letting those things work over time.
Back in apps here, guys. Just got back there towards the 330s, saw the 1 hour chart, like the 1 hour chart on that pullback, kind of a throwback look on the hourly, and then let it try to come right back up, which was around the 320s. So I just said, you know what? Bigger time frame says we're still in play. I'll take the shot again.
So just setting my alert. That's one thing. That's kind of a, oh, geez, yeah, there's a lot going on here. Show less. We're seeing these things as they go, but yeah, I just brought up a notepad. This is something I always have open on my screen, either with the iPad or whatever, all day. And because it's not the time to make the changes. If you find yourself making changes to your systems or your scans or your charts or whatever in the middle of the day, I think that's probably a bad sign. But it's a good time to just make the notes. Say, hey, I have this idea. I'm getting spammed with too many alerts. I don't have time to go through all these, and I wouldn't have time to trade them even if I did. But, right, it's one of those where I want to be able to trade these things, so I just want to see less of them.
All right, guys, can we get a nice little rip here? Find out.
So the SPY, we just continue, just an update, it's just chopping in that range, right? So we've highlighted this range of just the pre-market high, the pre-market low. Pre-market high is well above and the pre-market low is well below. So we are just kind of hard stuck right now. So this is the time where it takes patience. And if you're in a trade, you got to let it jiggle a bit while we're in the middle of a range. If you're not in a trade, it might be time to hang out for a bit and just let it go. So I'm seeing a lot of movement under the hood, but not a lot when it comes to kind of individual names. WGMI is ripping. So we can go to the heat map here for a second. WGMI is the top leader. So again, that's our Bitcoin miners. That's just going. So take a look at maybe Mara. I don't know if Mara still has that crazy short float, but Mara is breaking out a little bit here, trying to bounce off these lows. Last I checked, go here. Last I checked with Mara, it was like a 20-something% short float. I don't know if it's still like that yet. 24% short float on Mara. So, if this sector is going to go and this particular name is going to go as well, I think that's interesting. Heavily shorted names, if you got to see them move first, but if they do, that could be super, super interesting.
Interesting name today, AMD up there towards 112.20s, now right back down towards the 111. Pretty much putting a sideways candles here. Big candles though on the 5.
Yeah, now that it's into that range, it could just be a chop fest, right? It had a great day yesterday after the open, and then could just be digesting those names just a little bit anyway.
Tesla down. I put it out there on Twitter that Elon's not going to like me too much.
Uh-oh. Yeah, you're blacklisted. You're not getting any followers. Yeah, breakdown
the
of
big
this.
thing is, man, Elon's in for a fight, man. The best thing for him is autonomous and robotics. If that don't happen, he's in a struggle.
Yeah, Dan Ives, when I was chatting with Dan Ives in New York, said kind of the same thing, is that EVs are going to be everywhere. Everyone's going to make them. There's not going to be much competitive edge in those things over the next few years. So he's more bullish on, what's it called, Optimus than anything.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's the move, right? It's really making Tesla a technology company, not a car company. There's one thing saying it, there's a whole other thing actually doing it, right? Yeah. All right, guys, we're looking good here, guys. A little part of me is even thinking about taking the $30 here, but I'm going for it, guys. Let's see if we get the account here really close to breaking out here on apps. It needs to break through this 60s. There's a big size here, and you guys can see it on the top right. And I'm not even sure if you can see all that. I'm not sure if you guys can see all this in the top right there. Maybe my screen is being taken up by us a little bit there, but I'll move it a little bit here. So the market depth. You can see here on the 63s, there's about 29,000 shares. I'm looking to see if that can get taken out. Look at right after that, there's some more sizing. So looking to see if that can get taken out here. Here's the 59s. Now we're looking good for the 60s. Let's see if we get the breakout here, guys. Only need about 20 more cents and we can cash here. Let's see it.
Yeah, this is a perfect example of what I was looking for, but I missed this one entirely. Again, this PI, no idea. In semiconductor space, looking, spent a couple candles under VWAP, broke up through, and now it's working towards this VWAP as well. My QCOM trade is not working out, so that might end up being a stop, but that's the only one I've done so far, and I'm going to wait for a little bit just to see if we can kind of hold on here. A lot of these are going to be indicative with the SPY, so if we go check out the SPY and we go into the 5-minute here, you can see we're kind of hard stuck in this range. So for QCOM to dig in, I think we also need to see the SPY dig in a little bit here.
All right, trying to see the takeoff here. We got a new high, 373. Just needed to get through that, going towards the 390s and 4, and we're done, baby. Let's go. Let's see what happens. I really don't want to get back through the 360s. If I need to take 30 and then maybe do this in 2 trades, I will. Just trying to give it the momentum's chance right now.
Right, and that's good thinking, right? A lot of people have definitely, myself included, fallen for the, right, you're trying to get it all done in one shot, but let the chart decide, right? Let the chart tell you what's happening, whether or not it's going to cooperate with you. But it's a nice looking chart. I'm looking at the daily here on AMPS or APPS. Yeah, nothing there to stop it for a long time.
All right, let's see if we can get it, guys.
So we see someone taking BBAI short. Bold. That could work. BBAI, I'll just show the chart, is wild. This thing went from $3 to 8 or 9 over a couple sessions. So, fading this makes sense, right? Something that is a little bit overextended could be a nice interim short. If we look at this compared to what the indicator's saying here, right? It broke VWAP right there. 2-day VWAP is 678. If that's something that interests you, that's a place that you could take to look to maybe take a shot at.
Out there, guys, out there on that little pullback there. I started to set the stop right at the range of the high. Was looking to maybe set it towards 60, but I said, you know what? Let's not try to get too pretty with it here. It could still just kind of ramp up through 4, but I could see another pullback to 350 here, and I just don't want to miss out on the gain that I already have there. So cashing it, guys. What I thought was important there was the first trade, right? The first trade actually saved me, right? I went long at 341, cut at 341, back long at 330, using the low of the 320, right? Same risk in that trade. And then as it came back through the high, I'm taking some cash. Now it can reload at this top end of the range there. But at that point, it leaves the worry of a quick drop right back down right into the 330s. Yeah. Now I can maybe scalp it through the 380s for the 4, but at least this gives me closer and closer. You guys see it, $32 in the green there, and not looking too bad, guys. I'm at 1,329. So what do I need now? $21, guys. $21. That's it.
YOLO. Just put all in black, right?
Yeah,
just go from there. SPY's trying to dig in. Right.
Yeah, Qs are holding up a little bit better than I feel like the SPY is here. But the SPY was up more in the pre-market, so.
Yeah, so we're trying to dig in here. We're under VWAP, but we're still smack dab in the middle of all this pre-market.
Quantum on a halt, guys. Quantum biopharma on a halt to the upside.
Oh, an up halt. Yeah.
Up halt, man.
Up halts are fun. Down halts are not so much, unless you're short, obviously. But yeah,
so app's doing that 350 reload. We'll see if it goes back.
Oh, down to VWAP there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had that feeling sometimes. It's just like a classic move to happen. Interesting move here, guys. Scanners catching SMST. Of course, this is the short MSTR leverage.
Ooh.
So if you're seeing MSTR drop fast, this could be another reason why I'm seeing it happen, right? MSTR dropping fast there. SMST, interesting leverage vehicle. What I like about it, the spread's tight. That's my number one thing with these leverage vehicles. Can you find the liquidity to keep that spread tight?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's easier for smaller traders with something like that that's $5 to size yourself, right? It's easier. It doesn't mean you should just size up, but it means you can take an easier amount of shares in order to take that trade. So yeah, AMPS just kissed VWAP and then started to bounce, eh?
Qs breakout on the Qs, guys. Breakout on the Qs.
QCOM is triggering again back through VWAP. So it held. If I go here and then go to QCOM. All right, came back down to retest pre-market lows, and now it's trying to make it back through VWAP. You can see Google. I'm getting these two alerts that just came through. So Google breaking back through VWAP. Not really too interested in Google just because yesterday was the move. Today is the second day, which can be interesting, but that first day is really where I want kind of the emotion for this particular setup. I've already talked about I've set up for second day plays already. And yeah, QCOM trying to get back through VWAP. So a lot of these, like Mitch said, is going to mirror the Qs, which were up through the high of the day. The pre-market high, we're sitting 528.50. So a little bit to the pre-market high. If we go through there, things could look really good because we are close to a breakout even on the daily chart at a lot of these.
Apps doing pretty well here, guys. Right back up there. So it looks like there was a reload at that 350. I had a slight chance to jump in there, maybe at the 369s. I just felt like it was a little bit of too much 20 cents. I wanted to risk the 10 cents there on this chart. But it's getting close to the high of the day again. Break. Yoshi, another stock making a good move today. I'm calling it Yoshi because it's Yosh, but Yoshi, Yoshiura restaurant. I'm guessing potentially a sushi. I got to take a look into it, but big rip today, guys. I mean, this thing's up a crazy amount. I don't have the amount right now in front of me, but it's up pretty good amount here. For the day, I can just take a look here, 41%. So
it looks like we've halted twice there when you were in that shorter term chart.
Yeah.
And right
here comes apps for it, man. Here comes apps for that big push there, for maybe the 4 push here. I could maybe go for the scalp here, maybe, but it's just not my play. So I'm trying my best not to follow a play that's not up my wheelhouse, right? My wheelhouse is more that VWAP play or kind of the recovery play there. But yeah, looking good there. We'll see if it breaks 4.
Well, I love to see, Mitch is being kind of very open and transparent here about the emotions he's battling, because he is, like 2 feet from finish line, and it's, can I get over it, or am I gonna fall down, right? So it's one of those. He's being very, very conservative. I'd say more conservative than he would be normally with his trading, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? You've got this. Right, the next trade is going to be way more important than the trade after that, because hopefully the next trade secures you the account, and then you kind of go in and size down and just trade as normal again. But it's just to show you guys in live what's happening here is that it's you got that anticipation, that excitement of you're almost going to get the account, you're on fun. You have to fight that. You have to fight that hard, and take a big breath before all your trades and say, is this a trade that I would take if I wasn't in this position of being very close to getting this account?
All right, guys, let's take a second here. I'm going to go ahead and add on my friend Jorge that's been hanging out in the back. Let's go ahead. Let's bring him on. Let's focus on him a little bit here. I've already taken a couple of trades here, so I'm going to go ahead and size us correctly here to go ahead and bring him on. I had to do some adjustments there. You guys know it. A little producing, a little bit of trading, a little bit of finding the themes. We don't stop here. Let's go ahead. Let's bring on the man, Jorge. Jorge, what's going on, man? How we doing out there? How's the trading going on? I know
hello, guys. Nice to meet you, Michael. Yeah, I haven't, introduced myself to you, but yeah, nice to meet you. It's good to see you again, guys.
Of course, this is the competition winner that puts a lot of backing to that name. Jorge did an amazing job. Him and, of course, Day Trade with Tony battling back and forth in the competition. Jorge, how's it been, man? Like always, trading has its ups and downs. How's it been for you?
Yeah, as you said, ups and downs. I think I'm doing okay, with my downs also. Giving you an update regarding my 160K funded account. I was doing well, started good, but then I went into a drawdown, get out of the drawdown, but right now I'm in a drawdown again. I'm not doing okay with that one. So I left that one on the side because I got very emotional trading with that one because it was not working out. But then I focused on my other 2 funded accounts of the limited 20K. So I'm focusing on those 2 20K accounts, and I'm doing okay with those. Currently up 1,001 and 500 and another one. But yeah, that's like basically an update on that.
Yeah, no, thank you for the update, my friend. It's definitely good to hear the update. And let us know today if you're seeing any trades out there, anything you want to take and bring up, Jorge. You can feel free.
Yeah, sure.
One thing is I actually enjoy to kind of give traders a little bit of space at the open, and bringing you on now, I feel like gave you that chance to maybe look at the open, do your thing. Apps is ripping for me there, guys. I wasn't able to get back in there, but it was a good look. I should have just stayed on it, maybe getting right back in at the 360s, risking on the 350s, but that's hindsight 2020. At the end of the day, it was still a good look there. What I liked was the hourly chart, especially, right? Like hourly charts like this, sideways, where it ripped above, comes back to the throwback look. That's why I got in there in the 330s in the first place. But really good looking chart. And like Michael Noss said, there was a little room on the daily to really start getting that push. Now you're pushing towards prior highs, and this is actually starting to really get going. A nice day 2 move also, which is a good thing to look at. Day 1 moves on penny stocks, you really you don't know what's going on, right? Where the momentum is. But look how the volume is jumping twice now today, right? That shows me another thing. Traders are watching this, and now the traders are on it. Jorge, what are you seeing out there? Looks like you got your screen up. Let's go ahead. Let's rock with your screen. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your action.
Yeah, sure. Doing okay so far. 2 red trades, 3 green trades. Currently up $62. Focusing on LiPo. LiPo is filing bad. QNTM, as you have been mentioning in the live streaming.
What a name, right? What a name.
Oh,
Quantum Biopharma.
Fortunately, right now, I'm doing good with that one. And
love to hear it, man.
Yeah, CGMB, I noticed that this one has been failing, during pre-market. I saw that it pop up, so I was expecting that it was going to fail again. So that trade worked. Unfortunately, I couldn't capitalize more. I entered here when it bounced towards VWAP, waited until it failed, then it failed and got halted. When it resumed, it hit my take profit, then it kept failing. So that could have been a better trade, but that is a good trade. So, and yeah, I see that QNTM resumed and it's still like strong. I want to give it a look and see what it's going to do now.
Q's continuing to rip, guys. Just want to put that out there.
So my QCom's going green again. I was red on that name for a little bit. It came down to test pre-market lows. Now it looks like it might be holding up, so I'm watching that again. It's like 3 or 172 is the 2-day VWAP on that, so that's the target for the trade.
QNTM still showing up on the scanners, just reopened at 1426, still ripping higher, man. We'll see what happens. I see it on your screen, Jorge. Are you long on this name?
Yeah, I'm right now long, for a bounce.
It's definitely getting that squeezy type of look to it there. Just got a nice little push there, about like 50 cents there. We'll look to see how it continues to go here. Seeing some decent volume around the 1290s. I'm watching also RNAS, guys. It has a nice little cup and handle pattern. I'm watching the dump right now that I think is an important one. Just want to see if it can recover. So it's in this kind of bigger cup and handle pattern. I'll show you guys that right now. I'll throw it up on the screen. So just bringing in some of these smaller plays here. See what happens with this one. This is a cup and handle pattern, kind of that cup now trying to create the handle around the 9 EMA. I think this washout towards 12 is a good one. Towards that level can wash out some of the bulls, and then it can come back through the 13. We'll see what happens with that one. A lot of action going on. I got another one making a move here, guys. INKT now ripping there towards 1250. Not a bad little move there. And what I like to see on these, especially this one doesn't have it, but look how the QNTM on my scanner has this relative price, kind of price relative right here. This is percentage from relative volume. So I like to see those that are in the green. So of course QNTM falls into that. Let's talk about another one there, AMTD. And so I can maybe keep an eye out on that one to see if it can get the move, right? A lot of these are going to require higher relative volume to really get a bigger move. And QNTM is getting that just now. Now 1572. Are we on another halt here, Jorge?
Yeah. Well, no, I took my profit before the halt. Yeah,
you cashed it right before the halt? Hey, you can't be mad about that, man. Hey, dude,
no, I'm happy. I'm happy that they're having a better trade.
Taking risk off, yeah.
Cash is cash, man. That's a really nice move there. Another thing to think about too is that this thing has been moving already in the pre-market, right? It already kind of got a big lift in the pre-market. So now you're on the kind of the second and third drive. A lot of the times we can get a big pullback after that. So nice move there, nice cash on QNTM. And just like as I said it, guys, look at RNAS. This one's a little bit harder. I will say that one. Why? The spread's moving really quickly, guys. It's moving like 10, 15 cents, 20 cents wide, but it just recovered really quickly there. Cup and handle pattern coming into play and now starting to rip to the upside. We'll We'll see if this can continue. I'm probably not going to jump on this one just because of the spread action that I'm seeing. But definitely, you can see the cup and handle came right back in, washed the bulls, now starting to go for the high.
The divergence here, just wanted to quickly, and then we'll go to Jorge's screen. Just the divergence between the SPY, just still hard stuck in this range, not doing anything, and then the Qs, right, above its pre-market highs, looking much better. Well, sorry, above its opening range, trying to challenge pre-market highs. Really, really interesting to see. It's not something that I think you see insanely often when you have, just because they're both very weighted to big tech, right? The SPY and the Qs, obviously the Qs a little bit more so, but you're seeing that that divergence kind of take place where the Qs are really strong and the SPY is struggling to keep up. So that shows me that a lot of these big cap tech names might be bouncing. So I'm going to keep an eye there. Again, the only trade I got going on right now is this QCOM.
All right, like in HKD, guys, the smaller trade there, just taking a look at that. Similar space as apps.
I remember this is the one. If you go back on like a monthly chart, isn't it? And this is one that went from like nothing to $10,000 and then back again.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, that is the one.
It was
Yeah,
some.
look, just a $2,000 price tag to get back to.
And usually we see these and we say it never actually got there. It's just a reverse split. No, this went there. I remember I was trading during this. There was something came out. I think it launched with like 100 or 200,000 shares or something in the float. It was insane. Yeah. There was some sort of like float rollout issue or something. And this was what an actual short squeeze looked like, because there was just no float and there's no buy orders or sell orders to get out of the trade. There's a lot of people I know that made a lot of money on this, and a lot of people that got killed. I think all that's sorted now. It's just probably a normal stock, but yeah, every time I see HKD, it reminds you of just that insane move that took place.
Yeah, I'd like to see if it could come back towards the 304, which is the resistance breakout on the break, right? And it's trying to get through the pre-market high of 319. So we'll see if it gets through the 320 here. But I'd like to see a quick little wash down towards the 304 and then right back up. We'll see what happens on that one.
So I missed this one, but I did want to show just for this is the strategy that I'm working on, right? Because again, I have to systematize everything because I know myself to know that I'm a bad day trader, right? I generally okay swing trader, but I'm a bad day trader. So, but this is the exact setup that I'm looking for. You see, so this is Philip Morris. We actually talked about this yesterday when we were talking about the marijuana stock. So spent pretty much most of the pre-market range just above VWAP. You know, strong earnings. Everyone was super happy about it. Right off the open, spends a couple more candles to suck in some more longs above VWAP, and then breaks down pretty sizably. So you can see the red arrow that was triggered by the indicator. You take a nice short there, stop the high of the day. You're targeting the 2-day VWAP, but of course, right as it's going, you can. I'm lowering my stop to reduce risk. So this is just a textbook of what I'm looking to do. No, I didn't take it because again, the only trade I've taken so far today is this QCOM, and the same kind of idea, right? This was very bad for a long time. They jammed it down off the open, then it broke back through VWAP, and again, I'm targeting this high here, right? So far, I'm up like $30 in the trade, pretty much a flat position.
All right, looking around out there, trying to find some more trades, guys. Let's see what we can come up with. I'm going to look into some intraday movers here, and I'll actually bring it onto the screen to kind of show some winners and losers right now. And let's go ahead. Let's do that. I'll bring it onto the screen right here. Let's go ahead. Let me just make this a little bit bigger and take out the details so that you guys can only see the movers. All right, guys, I'll show you guys this. I use this all the time. I just peek in this, and a lot of times what I'm looking for is, can I find a theme in some of these movers, right? A theme that's going on, right? Versus just a stock, right? One theme I see here, I see Ouster showing up. So I'd take a look to see some autonomous names. Ouster is an autonomous stock. I'd take a look to see here if there's anything that's standing out to me. I see SMCI doing pretty well today, up 6%, right? Digi International, this DGII doing pretty well there. Looking through here to see if there's anything else that kind of stands out to me. Some solar stocks showing up there, not something I expect there. Clean Spark, of course, crypto names, and you were bringing up Mara a little bit earlier, so that tells us a little bit more to maybe take a look into some of the crypto names. And then I'd see here, and you got some in the middle, right? Like AMD's is down slightly. But I'm starting to see some weakness coming into the market here. I'm thinking about maybe potentially shorting Pakar again here as we're starting to get some weakness into the market. The Qs made a quick rip to the upside, but the SPYs are hitting the low here. Let's see if the Qs follow and actually start going back to the lows.
Yeah, I don't know how long this this divergence can continue to hold, right? You generally speaking, seeing an IWM and a Qs diverge, that makes sense. You got big cap tech versus little tiny guys. When you see the SPY, which is mostly weighted to big cap tech, and the Qs, which is mostly weighted to big cap tech, they start to diverge, and things get a little bit, to me, a little bit more interesting, just showing that there are some one of them has to catch up, right? Right now, it kind of looks like the Qs is. I'm trying to see what the difference is, and it's semis, yeah. So semis are, so we take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA is not doing too well, which is interesting that QCOM's holding up as much as it is. But so we look at SMH, that's kind of what's weighing on us a little bit, I think, on the SPY right here. So we need to see that recover in order for the SPY to perk up, or like Mitch mentioned, the Qs can catch down. one of the two is going to happen, I think, pretty soon here.
All right, short Pakar on the main account, guys. Looking for some trades here to maybe take on the short side of things. Tesla, I've already missed it. The Dragon's down, down, down she goes. Where did they hear that? On the Playbook, of course, guys. Check out the Playbook every day, guys. And I think this is just telling, guys. At the end of the day, Elon has to build cars right now. He's not building the robots and the robo-taxis, and that's not what's making the money. And what's making the money is not looking good as the margins get hit with tariffs, regardless of what happens, right? Whether it be Mexico, whether it be in Europe, whether it be in China. Guess what? Elon sells his car internationally, and it's not just in the U.S., so it's going to face some margins pressure. Another thing to think about is the materials pressure that comes from building these vehicles, right? And of course, the batteries that are needed, right? Where are a lot of these materials found? Well, they're not found here in the United States a lot often. So we'll see what happens with that situation as I see Tesla heading down, and boy, oh boy, it's starting to break that big support, that 373. If it can't get back over that today, I think it will still struggle. You could still get back to there and then flush back down. So just be careful, as we all know how Tesla loves to kind of give you the first move, shake you, and then really bake you. We'll see what happens there as Tesla keeps hitting lows.
Yeah, when it comes to it's all going to be tariff talk with Tesla, right? You're right. They've got a large, it's like, okay, Canada and Mexico, those tariffs are lifted. I don't think that's going to be a huge thing when it comes to Tesla. It's really going to be this China thing. So I think you could play Tesla, and I think you could also play things like FXI, which, again, full disclosure, I am irresponsibly long on. The idea is that, like Mitch mentioned, he's got a massive plant over there in China. Massive plant. So a lot of the materials that he's going to come in, those things are going to get taxed. A lot of the stuff that he's trying to sell in China, that's also going to get taxed on the other side, because it's one of those, if the US can kind of bully Canada around quite a bit because our economy is just so much smaller, because our population is so much smaller. China, it's not so much a bully fest the way it is with Canada and Mexico. It's just more of a war, because if he tariffs their goods, he's gonna start tariffing other goods. There'll be counter tariffs. There'll be whole 9 yards. So that's what I think is going on right here with Tesla. There's a lot of uncertainty about what this trade war is potentially going to do to them. For me personally, the trade that I'm looking here on Tesla is just if we can get back above the VWAP from all-time highs. I know I've mentioned that a few times here on this, because I do like this for a long-term play. I drank the Kool-Aid there with Dan Ives, who was talking about it a lot. But I need to see this AVWAP replace. This is just kind of showing everyone that, hey, this is the average price if you start to buy Tesla at the worst possible time. If we can get back above that, to me, that's much more interesting place for that. Quick look at the heat map, just because we haven't done that in a while. PSIL, so psychedelics, continuing to be the leader. COPEX, which is copper miners, doing fantastic as well. We have the Bitcoin miners actually pulling down just a little bit from their highs, and then everything else is kind of just chopping around here in the middle. So the big names to the downside, we have the semiconductor ETF, we have Nuclear pulling back with NLR. And then UNG is down there as well. But I believe we have nat gas numbers at, yes, in 25 minutes. So if you're a nat gas person, this is something that I watch personally because, again, full disclosure, I'm in some of this UNG around. I've been trading it back and forth around this kind of $17 area. So if you're trading natural gas, that's going to be an interesting thing that's going to come up again in 30 minutes from there. So
all right, guys, taking a little bit of the VIX here, VXX at least long to see what happens if we still see the continued downside. Got Pakar on the short side. Pakar is in the green here. We'll see what happens. Really looking to see. I like that action right there where the Q's bounced and it looked like it was going to come back, and now it's coming right back down. I think we need to see a big bar, though, a big bar show up to really get bearish if I'm going to stay in this and kind of ride the momentum today.
Yeah, we're chopping hard. So Jorge, do you have anything cool for us to look at, huh?
Yeah, Jorge, how you doing out there, man? What are you seeing?
Making my way to my daily goal. My daily goal is $200. So right now I'm 150. So I'm trying to be very careful to not lose my profits. I try to take a long position because I saw that it was, holding the $5 LIPO, but then it started to move up. I was working on my way, but then it had a flush, so I just stopped out at break even. But everything looked good, so I took a second trade with QNTM. Well, this is my third trade. The first two trades, scalping it worked, so now I'm trying to short it because I see that the MACD went to the upside and it got extended. So now MACD is about to cross down. Even though this is strong, I'm trying to be very careful. So I started shorting it with a small position and try to increase it if I see that it starts failing again. So I'm expecting that it's going to start moving down, probably towards VWAP, and then for another bounce back up. But I want to take advantage of this move down towards VWAP.
So the halts they don't scare you on because they scare me, but they don't scare you on something like this.
For me, it's like small position. They don't scare me, honestly. Yeah, I'm okay like trading around halts.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's can be wildly profitable.
Yeah.
Right. Generally speaking, I would say 9 times out of 10, if it's an up halt, it continues higher, and vice versa if it's a down halt. But yeah, for me, it unnerves me a little bit just to be like, all right, now we wait. Have any breathing exercises or anything when you're in that halt and you're just waiting for price action to start back up?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I size up a lot, and yeah, I'm like, oh man, if I get nervous,
right back up, guys. Q's right back up.
But right now I'm a little bit confident that this might work because I'm using MACD, in a different chart. I'm seeing the MACD. I see that MACD is crossing down. It's just crossed down, so that might push the price lower. But yeah, I'm trying to
see in here. Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm seeing apps start to reject here. It's been already about 4 moves higher. I feel like it could pull back here towards the 380s and 370s. The only thing is it's shorting a high day mover, right? Trying to short off the high of the day. Really not the best strategy. I can tell you guys that strategy is usually like a cut down strategy where you might get cut a couple of times and then you get the reward. So it's hard to determine it here. But a little part of me like always looks for this kind of action where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 times on the momentum, and now it starts to pull back, right? So a lot of times I'll go shorting off of that. I can go off the high of the day, give myself maybe a penny or two, like to 435s, and then looking to see if it starts to drop back to the VWAP. So mean reversion strategy, essentially.
You keep teasing me every time you bring up the small account. You're not taking a trade in it, right? I'm telling you, this is my favorite show right now.
Dude, I'm trying to be patient, man. Trying to be patient. Patience pays, they say. Patience pays, guys.
I'm being the devil on the shoulder. I'm poking Mitch again. It's like, come on. Just
It's
YOLO.
I'll tell you one thing. I itch to trade. So itching to trade has never been a hard thing. It's
No.
more selective, especially as you get closer and closer towards the evals. And Jorge can tell us all about this. He's done it more than once. So definitely, Jorge, as you get closer to the end of that eval, when you just need like a trade or two to get you to that, what do you feel helps, or what do you see has helped you?
Getting close to past the evaluation, is that what you said?
Yeah,
You're asking?
yeah, like when you're right there, when you're really close to getting that eval.
Oh well, I think when you like are about to pass the eval, the best thing to do is to protect your gains, right? To protect your gains so that you don't lose them and you just get little by little closer to passing it. So I don't know. It's just being patient. It's just being patient.
Yeah.
You have to be patient. Wait for the best setups, so that they give you more probabilities to take good trades, to take profits. It's just a matter of patience. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I don't know. When I'm in evaluations, I think I'm not very emotional when I use evaluations. But
Yeah,
once I have a funded accounts is when I think
the
emotions
emotions
started to
pick
play
for
a
you.
lot more. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that happened to me with my 160K funded account. I was doing great at the beginning, then it started to go into a drawdown. I fell into my emotions totally. So I almost destroyed that account. Right now, I still have it, but I just left it on the side so that I can focus on these two funded accounts. And pr- I'm gonna come back and start trading again, but I don't know. I just felt that I'm so emotionally still like triggered if I still go back to that one. So I want
And
to
it
focus on
happens.
this one, try to
It
take
happens.
profits and withdraw money as well. And once I do that, I probably gonna go back to that one.
See, I think that's great. The emotional intelligence required there, and then the discipline to pull yourself back from the edge, I think is huge, and that's definitely the mark of a good trader. It's something that I very much lack. I think it's why I spend so much time swing trading, is because you get those breaks, but it gets very very yeah. So just again, it's great work, because I don't know if I'd have that discipline to say, okay, I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not in the right headspace to be trading this right now, so I'm gonna back off a little bit. But 100% the right move. Get your head back in order, and then get back to that account only when everything's kind of lined up. So and I like that you went back to the evals and you started to take some of those, because almost like going back to, I say it all the time, is the evals are kind of like paper trading, but with paper trading you have no emotion, but then the evals, because you put a couple bucks into it, you have some, right? So it's
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
not as much emotion as live trading, but you've got something on the line, so it kind of feels like it's that middle ground. So to get your confidence back is the big thing I want to talk about. That's a huge thing with traders, is when you're getting smoked, when nothing's working out for you, you're having a bad time, doing something like Jorge did, where you go small, right? And then you take
Hmm.
you get a funded account, you get a couple wins under your belt, you're starting to feel a little bit like, yes, I do have a plan, I can trade this market, and then starting to get back to it as well. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
I
But
see you
yeah.
watching,
Hey.
looking at that APS or ATPS closely there. Are you gonna?
Literally. You could say it. You could say it, my friend. This is the strategy. I'm fighting myself not to take the trade, and that tells me more and more. Getting a little bit risk adverse here, and the truth is the setup's there, right? Especially those wicks right now on the upside. So a
Mhm.
lot of times, what I'll do is I'll just be able to set right there off the 430s, right? The big thing that I'd like to see is a little bit more into the book. So I haven't really looked into that. And I think that's so important for traders that are trying to get like smaller moves. Like even Jorge does really good, and Paulie not even going too crazy in that. But I think it's very important as you get bigger and bigger size, especially if you're trying to make a lot of money. You gotta understand the order book, right? And that can really help you try to like capitalize on bigger sizing. Like of course, smaller sizing really doesn't matter too much. But as you get bigger and bigger, it's important to understand kind of the order books and how it's aligned.
Mhm. Yeah, when liquidity becomes a concern.
Yeah. That's why, to me, also is that apps is in an area where it's doing well, right? Like DGII is another one that's in a very similar space. It has been doing well today, so I'm trying to my best to wait, right? These stocks have been strong all day. There's no reason for me to get short here. Just wait, and then maybe a little bit later it makes sense. Look at apps do there, a little fake out to the upside, and that tells me even more and more like, yeah, that's kind of the trade right there. But it's back to the VWAP, right? It's not like it's too much. It's about $30 on the downside. It's not like I'm seeing it go back to 3, but VWAP seems to make sense. And there's the rejection back down. But it did go close to that high of the day, right? And that's why I tried to risk a little bit above the high of the day if I'm going to do that. But it needs to be with a size that you can handle that, right? Where if it did rip through the high and you got some slippage, you're not going to cry about it.
Do you ever look into, because I know you're a MACD guy, Linda Ratchey's anti-setup? Have you ever seen that? Let me see if I can look up the details. That could be a good lesson for
there you
people who
go.
like
There you
MACD.
go, my man. My man nerding out on us, guys. If you guys want to nerd out with Michael, you guys got to hit him up. Hit him up with the good questions. I'll tell you one thing. You can definitely get his mind spinning with some good questions like that. So definitely hit him up, guys.
Well, just the reason I point out is that she looks at that exact kind of setup that you're looking at, the stock that makes the high or the high flyer comes in, fails to make the new high and takes an entry, and then she uses MACD to confirm with her own like settings in it, a shorter term MACD to confirm that second move down. And again, Linda she's an OG. She's been doing this for like hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's she's one of those started trading when trading or day trading when day trading started. So she's this very famous setup. So yeah, maybe I opened up a tab, so maybe we'll chat.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And I think that it's a good combination. The 1 with the 15, the 1 MAC crossing, and then the 15 starting to go back to the center line. Essentially not trying to get it. This for me is for this to come close to this and then maybe bounce again. Because like I'm saying a retracement to the mean, right back to the middle line, right? So like a lot of times on these smaller stocks, I look for 15-minute retracements to the 9 EMA. That's essentially the same strategy. It's just playing it in a different time frame and understanding that, hey, all right, so I'm shorting the 1 minute high of the day strategy. And then at the same time, I'm looking at the 15-minute and showing that, hey, that seems like a nice 15-minute pullback strategy to maybe buy the dip down there at, let's say, the 364, right? So we'll see what happens with that. APPS, I'm done with it. It's done. It's dead to me.
I was trying to talk you into taking a trade, but so no, this is good. We'll ask the viewers here. Is this kind of strategy breakdown? Is that something you'll be interested in? If so, I'll do up a presentation tonight. Maybe we'll chat about it on Monday. But yeah, this is kind of the basic premise of her setup, where she's looking for something in an uptrend, and then it pulls back, and then it looks like it's failing to make that higher high. So kind of forming, I guess, that right shoulder, and then uses this MACD where she has her own unique setups against much shorter term MACD, and that is the entry for it. So basically, when that trying to play that kind of head and shoulders style look, but just trying to play that right shoulder, and then using the MACD to really quantify that hey, it's time to go on that one. So yeah, if you guys want, I can do a little thing. And it looks like there's your quantum there, Jorge. So you still short that name? It looks like we're breaking down here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still shorting it. I was about to get halted. It just rejected the halt level. So yeah, now I'm getting a little bit nervous because it is bouncing up a lot. But I will see. I will see what it does.
It's a wild mover, but we've broken down. The reason I noticed that is because it actually hit my my VWAP alert. So this strategy that I'm working on here. So if I bring this up of spending a lot of time above VWAP and then breaking down and closing below that VWAP, just showing that the idea is that there's so many people who play the VWAP bounce play. It's just a very common one. That if I can wait for a close blow, and hopefully a significantly close blow like this, then I know those people those people are wrong, right? They've had a little bit of a bad time. And then the idea is you're looking for the 2-day VWAP as a target, because that's the average of today's and yesterday's price. So I've actually just taken small, just 100 shares on this one, but a small little short off this play just to go with my QCOM long, which is looking a little better. It's inching its way slowly up to that 2-day VWAP. That's kind of the target I'm going to have. I'm going to put my stop right under this low now, so I'm definitely not going to lose too much on this name, but defending that. So it's good. This is, it's kind of cool that you guys are seeing this journey for me coming in having no idea. Maybe someday I'll scroll through my list of blown accounts. There's a few of them in Trade the Pool, so I'll show you guys all those when I finally will do it as like a celebration if and when I finally pass one here. But this is just going through strategies, not having any attachment to any of the strategies, just trying them out. A, do they work? And B, do they feel like something that I could continue to do for extended periods of time? The next thing, if I get an account with this strategy, will be to get another one that I'm fully going to automate as well with the more automated systems that I have. So then I have multiple, I think would be the game plan.
All right, guys, trying to keep up with some of these smaller ones to see if maybe I'm able to catch one more runner and get that move. Here's an interesting one, guys. What the heck? Looks like there was an acquisition group, RFAC. They got a big move yesterday. It went from 6 to 15. So we all know if it's an acquisition corp, it's probably one of these SPAC companies. So RFAC getting a little bit of a lift right now. The volume is pretty low. That's the only problem with these, is that the volumes are really low. But it's just coming out and just went into a haul at $8. So we'll see what happens with that.
I will say, Mitch, you have to promise me not to get this account off stream, or if you do, just
that's literally what it held me back yesterday.
I want to see it again.
I like to
my
take
show.
So a lot of times, and I think that Michael would even appreciate this, guys, is that a lot of times, like you guys see me here in day trading, a lot of times I feel like there's a lot of subjectiveness, I'll say it, right, in a lot of the day trading action, right? And a lot of that is that your timing can be slightly off, and you need to give yourself a little bit of cushion on the volatility, right? That's where most day traders struggle. It's just handling the volatility, right? And a lot of times, usually sizing is the culprit. But what I've noticed is that a lot of times in the afternoon, what I can do is slow things down a little bit. I mainly focus on hourly charts and looking for 15-minute setups, right? And I start looking for setups that I can have more predetermined outlooks and just take the trade and let it work. That's how I got the trade on QNTM in the afternoon out of 5. I was like, this is a nice, clear setup, nice hourly recovery. $5 seems to make sense. It's a nice whole dollar to go through. And I was able to get it, right? And make some money back. I think that's important, right? And I tend to do these in like maybe just one trade, right? I'm just going to do that one trade, see if it works out, set the stop, set the target profit. A lot of times I don't even watch these trades happen. I literally let them set. I call it the set it and forget it type of trade, right? It's like when you put the food into the pressure cooker and you walk away, baby, in the Instapot, and you walk away. You see if you got some good food at the end of the day. But I think this is something that a lot of traders should look into in understanding your time frames of when do you really want to trade. A lot of traders trade the open. Some traders do better in the afternoon. I'm actually one of those weird traders that has a tendency of doing well between, let's say, 1 to 3 p.m. It's a weird window, but I have a tendency of doing pretty well in there. And why? Because I just try to make it more of a pattern-like approach, looking for swings in the market, looking for traders that get caught on the wrong side. Like the other day when we had that big dip, I was able to take advantage just because I felt like, yeah, traders are caught on the wrong side here. Let's go trade that, right? Because those are usually the best trades in the day trading game. It's a psychology game, right? Where somebody got caught looking the other way, and now that trade's just not working out. Today, one thing that I'm starting to see that's starting to show up is that we have pretty much everything in the red in the last 15 minutes except healthcare and energy Are we going to start seeing a leak? Look at the cues now. Look at the SPY now.
Yep.
That's
And I love what you
telling
mentioned
sign.
about time frames. That's super common to have. There's that saying we say over and over again: amateurs open the market, professionals close it. So if you're looking for quick scalps, I think the open's great because that's where your crazy volatility is going to be. If you're more of a slow type mover, slow burner, and I think the close is great for that because you're not going to have that crazy opening volatility, which is why the professionals don't trade the open. They avoid that volatility. And professionals, we're talking large institutions and things like this that have to fill massive orders. It's not to say good traders versus bad traders. Obviously, it's just this is what's happening. And so the idea is pretty simple. That hey, if you want those slower trends, then try the afternoon, try the open. I know a trader who he's a day trader and he skips the open entirely. He comes in and does all of his scanning around noon, and he looks at certain levels, and he, just like Mitch is saying, places orders and he walks away, have them auto close on the close. So he's looking for, bases to have made on names. We'd look at something like Quantum, and his idea would be, okay, if this thing's, putting in a base like it is right here, and it's below this VWAP, and he might say, okay, well, I'm going to just look to take put a stop limit order to get me in. If it breaks down, I'll put a stop loss order at this high, I'll walk away. And he does all of that just right off that opening print or off that noon time. So, just because the traditional textbooks tell you got to trade the open doesn't necessarily mean it's true, right? Find the style that works the best for you. Some people are going to be really good at scalping the open and calling it a day. Some people, maybe you sleep in a little bit later and you come in for that close and try to get some good kind of end of day trends from there.
All right, guys, took the trade there. Apps short there. Let's see what happens here, guys. Risking about 14 to 15 bucks. Not much, right? I'm risking half of my profits on the day to see if I can get the profits that I need, right? So I'm taking the shot here. Another thing based on the overall market action, because if we could get a takedown in the overall market action, even though apps isn't probably going to be as correlated with the market today as a lot of different stocks, I'm looking to see if maybe that takedown could shake this, right? Really shake off the buyers here with some downside action. Could risk maybe about a point more here. I'm going to risk a tick more to 15 here, which is 431. The high of the day is 432. I could risk above the high of the day, but to tell you the truth, back through 430s, the high of the day could come really quickly. So I'm going to go and give myself 1 penny off that 431. We'll see if we get hit there. If not, I could see it coming back to the VWAP, which is 483, and I get the account. So just tried to take the trade, see what happens, right? We can never know what can happen. The only thing we can do is focus on the risk, focus on the reward, execute, and at that point, let the market do the heavy lifting for you. What are you seeing? What are you seeing, Jorge? You got some comments in the chat. What are you seeing out there, Mike?
Hey, I'm trying to find something that might look good. Cannot find something yet. I see the CRML has been failing all day, got halted right now. Want to see what it does after resumption. Maybe keeps pushing down. And what else? Oh, REBN. I traded this one in the past and I did well with this. It moved up, but now it got halted down. So I want to see what it does also after resumption.
REBN. So it's the daily chart. There's the 2 minute. Oh yeah, so halting to the downside there. We have the Qs, still hanging out at these lows, but really it's one of these times it makes sense to zoom out, right? We have the highs here on the Qs, and then we have the lows here. So everything that's happening is just kind of farting around in the middle of a range. We need something to kind of take place. And looking at what's coming up, the only thing is Waller. Remember Waller?
Waller.
They gave Waller an orange, and they gave Dolly a yellow. So Dolly is less important than Waller. So there you go. I wonder if that's voting members versus non-voting members. I don't even know why the non-voting members why are you even talking?
Just got hit through apps there, guys. Just got hit.
My favorite show continues to get interesting. So
this looks like breaking news, guys. T-Doc making a big lift there, guys. I have no idea what the news is, but that looks news related. T-Doc.
Citron
Try to find
Research
it.
tweeted Tindoc under the radar AI play.
I agree.
So Citron. You guy usually short? Isn't that one of those short guys?
I think a lot of these short guys is starting to change tunes, right? Of course, I forgot which one it was that shut down the doors.
Oh, the Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters, yeah.
Yeah, and that's
nice,
actually a
nice
shame.
report. Nice report that he wrote on that too. I appreciated it as someone that appreciates both sides of the market, but
Well,
definitely-
Citron seems more like that's the guy under investigation for doing some shady stuff about telling his buddies he's going to write this report and sending it out beforehand. But Muddy Waters, when he uncovered stuff, quite often they were just straight up scams. So he did a good job of protecting investors. I think they need to be there. These guys is that if you don't have what like your CoffeeZillas of the world for crypto, the guys exposing the scams. Who's going to monitor people, right?
Who can question it, right? I mean, there should always be an ability to question a stock, right? It's a publicly traded vehicle for a reason, right?
Right.
And if it was private, it'd be a whole nother thing, right? But if it's public, we should be able to question it, right? We should be able to bring them and have questions that they must answer to clarify for investors of what's going on here.
Yeah, and if you're above board, whatever report comes out, you should just take a couple days or a week and put together a counter report and send it out with evidence, and everything will be fine. But yeah, Muddy Waters I think is certainly sad. But yeah, his whole report was basically just saying he's been there, done that. It wasn't I'm shutting down because I'm losing money. He went through his entire history on how many frauds he shut down and companies. And he talked about how he was testifying in court a lot. There was a lot of people in jail because of reports he put out, which was all great. But yeah, his report was just kind of been there, done that. Shorting is a really hard game for a very long time. That's why I think you see perma bears slowly getting angrier and angrier online because the market the market generally goes up. It's very hard to be short for more than a day or a couple days. So yeah, these guys they entered the hardest part of the arena, and then they got demonized for trying to be in there to expose these frauds. So yeah, but so Citron, I guess, with a little bit of lighter news, saying that that TDoc is a great under the cover AI play. So moving up here on the 2-minute chart, on the daily chart, this thing's actually looking pretty nice. This was one of those COVID darlings that just got shellacked, right, from 262 down to $6. So it might be one of those that you'd look at and you say, okay, if we are in, look at the weekly, if we're in this kind of stage one accumulation, do I think it's going back to $200 or $300? Absolutely not. But breaks 12, 13. We got a little base here. Could it get to 20? Yeah, that's double. Like what else do you want than that, right?
Looking around, guys, just to give another name in that similar space with TDoc, I like Doximity, DOCS, very similar space. And I mean, at the end of the day, for health information services, clearly there should be AI, right? I mean,
Yes.
I'm a believer that there should be, and who knows, maybe RFK creates it or something, but there should be kind of one platform that all medical records are on, right? And and that's what I think that should happen here in the US. That's where a lot of times there's this conflict with insurances and things like that, and how it plays in. But I think in the long run, that could be where the move could go to. And that's why things like TDoc make sense, right? In the long term, we always talk themes. That's one thing I'm always going to be like, hey, this could be something that could be a longer term theme now that you can start to look into. Are there other players in the space? Who's the leader? Who's the real leader, right? That's why I think Doximity is not a bad one to think about, because it's nowhere near like the chart of kind of TDoc, right? Like this came out in 2022. It went through that bearish market, but ever since 24, it's on the slow stair step higher, doesn't make much pullbacks. And when it does, it seems to just find higher. So it's one that I'm thinking my eyes on, long-term investment, swing trade mentality. But something to think about. Kicking it to you, Jorge. What are you seeing in the market? Let's go to your screen and see what you're seeing out there. Of course, whether setups or things like that, you can let us know what charts you're seeing out there. What are you kind of taking an eye out for?
Yeah,
It's about
right now.
10:36, team.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for our EBN and waiting for a
RBN.
bounce towards VWAP after resumption. If it bounces up towards VWAP, I probably will jump in shorten it for a quick scalp. And yeah, I tried to enter CRML, but yeah, the spread destroyed me. I tried to enter like about around this price level, but then the spread just killed me.
There's Reborn opening up. Reborn just opened up, guys. Big spread there. But of course, Reborn Coffee getting the lift the last couple of days for a distribution deal. If you guys haven't seen Reborn Coffee before, high caffeine. Never against that. Pinky's up for that. But we'll see what happens here. Reborn Coffee. It also has, I think, some military kind of attachments to it. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, definitely it's had its day in the sun. I think the last couple of days, you see on the daily chart, to me, that's either a reload in here at the 5s or potentially the breakdown back towards the 4s. So I can't blame you for looking at it. Another thing that's a telling sign is the volume drop off, right? So with the catalyst, it was trading 50 million shares. Now it's trading 2 million shares. It's going to be tough to keep that momentum going back through the 675.
Yeah, Sonos just took a little short here on this one. Again, the setup that I'm looking for. It gapped up in the morning, spent a long time above VWAP, got the alert here that, hey, we're breaking down, we're closing below VWAP. We got 2-day VWAP about 30-40 cents away. This is a slower kind of mover. I had a weird little glitch that I got to look at here on my account.
I liked it. Yeah. I like it. I don't mind it at all. My personal preference would be to kind of watch the bounce to 1540s. Mm-hmm. So just my personal preference to bounce to 90 EMA and then reject. But I like it. It's not a bad looking move here on Sonos. And I've seen these happen all the time. So I've been telling you more and more. I've been looking more into the strategy, and I like to just look at it as a perspective right now and just watch you do it. I'm enjoying hearing about it, Michael. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's just again. I want to show this as this is the way that traders should. Right, these traders. This is how you should, and I'm not trying to say that to be, condescending or anything, but most traders go in there, they watch a YouTube video, they look at the setup, and then they hammer away. Myself, right? I've shown you guys big back tests that I've done. I'm paper trading all this stuff now. I'm going through. This is the process that you should go through as a trader, where you're trying to figure out, okay, not only what is the best setup. I think that's where a lot of people fall, but what setup works for me, right? What is something that I can do? The first one that I brought you is now something that it's working, and I have it automated, but it's just not something that's interesting to me. So it's not something that I'm going to potentially trade. So we'll go from there. Had a weird little glitch there in Sonos, but it looks like we're back in. We're good. It's a couple of these things that I'm learning when it comes to this trading. It's just talking about how the system works and all of this, which again is very, very important to learn. Still short.
Big hit down, guys, in the queues. Big hit down. Something's happening here, guys. I'm going long SMST.
SMST. Oh, the MicroStrategy.
Yeah, I'm seeing that down, but I'm also going to go to the main account and start playing the VIX here. That was a pretty big bar there. Something happened there. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I'm going to take the shot here. VIX jumping pretty fast here. Let's go ahead. Let's take a shot.
Is that dude? Is that dude talking now? Let me check the Forex Factory. The Waller? No, he's not till 2:30. So I don't know what that.
All right, long on the main account on the VIX there. We'll look to see if it goes back over through the high there. Taking the shot here as it got the spike. That was fast. On the Qs. That's usually news related. This is where day traders take shots, right? You don't know which way it's going, but the volatility is there, but when volatility is there, there's money to be made. I'm going to take a bigger shot here and see what happens on the VIX.
Yeah, so I'm just sitting in we can take a look here, zoom out a little bit on the cues just to show everyone what Mitch is looking at. Right, big. We hit the pre-market, or not the pre-market, the regular trading hours high again, and then just flushed. So let's go check out a certain someone's Twitter and then see what happened there, because I don't see any economic stuff. This to me seems like a tweet has been
something happened.
Yeah.
So what I'm risking on, right, guys? Why did I go SMST? It was the pattern that I was looking at that made sense, right? It was just a pattern there, nice looking pattern here. If it goes to the high, I'm set, right? I don't have to push too hard. MSTR is showing a pretty good weakness there. Biddy, the short ETF from ProShares, getting a nice little spike. I saw the Qs go down like that. I mean, that was pretty quick from the top action. The SPY's been leaking all day and trying to like break, but it hasn't been able to break. If the SPY goes back to 606, yeah, you can look for the up move, but that was pretty quick there. I'm going to try to find the news out there. There has to been something.
I got our boy Walter Bloomberg up here, and nothing there. I've got my boy Evan at Stock Market News. Nothing there. Could have just been maybe a fat finger or something, but it definitely, you look at it, looks like a news candle. That's for sure. YouTube is buying TikTok ads to clear. Oh, I just read YouTube is buying TikTok, and but nope, that's nothing. Yeah, nothing from either of these guys. And again, Walter Bloomberg, I think is a must follow, just because he's usually fairly quick with the news, and same with my boy Evan at Stock Market News. He's usually pretty good as well, but nothing. Am I gonna have to go all the way over to True Social and see the man himself?
That was a big candle there. It's also big on the volume jump there that happened. So just be careful out there, guys. It's definitely moving the markets around.
He hasn't tweeted or done a truth or whatever it is in 3 hours. So wasn't him this time. That was my immediate assumption, was right. Oh, what are we? Because what was the quote yesterday? Blowing someone to smithereens. So I just assumed something like that was.
As long as there's no smithereens, man. Oh, the word choice, man. The word choice sometimes, man.
Yeah.
You can't make it up, man. Can't make it up.
So no, I guess the fact, I can show here. Oh, you're showing on the cues too. We bounced back up there. So showing that that's something that at least for now looks like it's holding.
All right, guys, let's see if MSTR can break the 330s here, guys. Looking for MSTR to break the 330s. That would give me a nice little push in ST. I'm already up on the name, but I only took 100 shares. I've been trying to be really careful with share size, because if there's one thing that could wreck me in my battle to get into the end, it's going too big on one thing and then just getting hit hard, right? Then next thing you know, well, you pushed way too hard, right? Let the momentum bring me the cash, bring me the reward, right? And we'll see if that happens here. MSTR going for that 330 breakdown, and looks good there for the SMST now, right? And that's what I wanted it to be, a nice setup, right? Setups are what we can do. We can't tell ourselves what the results are going to be, but we can take good quality setups, right? Now that can be done. A lot of you guys tuning in on X right now, guys. If you guys can do us a favor, take a second. If you're watching this stream, hit the like, hit the retweet, so that we can get some more traders in here and continue to grow. Jorge, how you seeing this market? It's starting to shake those pennies, right? I'm sure about that one. One that I got to give a shout out to someone in the chat for the mention. Scotty, right off the start at 9:49 said LIPO short. That has been one of the best trades all day, guys. LIPO short all day, just fading. So shout out to you, Scotty. Can't go wrong with that mention. And we did get a question a little bit more. I think this is Steph was asking more on Jorge's kind of strategy. What's the first signal you use? Is it a trend high or trend low? Are you using some type of indicator? Are you looking for high of the day breaks? What's your outlook on that? How do you really kind of get these stocks on your radar?
Well, it's using MACD. I use MACD a lot. I like to see like a big extension of the MACD going to the upside when a stock is moving up, um, like strongly. So, and I wait until I see that the stock slows down in the momentum. And when I notice that MACD also starts to curling down, is when I not jump in immediately, but start to wait and try to find an entry to short it. So that works for me. For example, in the case of QNTM, I screw up my trade. For example, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I'll put you up right now. I got you here.
Okay.
I got your platform. Can you bring your chart back in, attach it? I think that's all that
Oh.
needs to happen. Happens to me all the time. I detach it. Oh, we lost him. We lost him.
Oh, all right. Well,
I think he hit the wrong button. I think he hit the X
Jeez.
button. All right, we'll get him back on here. I'm sure he'll hop right back on here. Jorge will be right back, guys. But I enjoy that. Cliff saying he loves to trade MSTR. All right, why do you love trading MSTR? Let's read it right here. I got to put it a little bit bigger here. I love trading MSTR. Does the ticker initials change with the company's name change or rebrand? Yes, it very much could, Cliff.
Up to them.
I know. Yeah, it's up to them, right? The one thing that I would say is that it costs a lot of money. So if I was them, I probably wouldn't do it. But hey, they definitely are
Someone
doing.
like Block that you do it for absolutely no reason.
Yeah,
could
I mean
be
it's
that
a
guy.
clout move, right? It's for clout, right? It's just for show, right? Let's
Yeah.
just be honest. Market really struggling here, guys. We're starting to see that downside action. I'm betting on the VIX here. Let's see what happens. I mean, SPY's coming in pretty fast there, and we're starting to see some more downside. Tesla's going right back to the low. I'm wondering if Google gets hit here. That would be a good sign if it got hit there. There's the cues through the lows to SPY through the low. I'm going to step up here, guys, on the main account and take a big shot. There's not many times I do this, but there's only times that I'll do this is when I start getting into the green. So I'm just trying to take a move back through 4270 here on the VXX. I'll show you guys the VXX right quick and looking to see that it holds VWAP now, 4250, and looking for it to take the high and start to juice on the move down. We'll see what happens.
Oh, you're back, and we see your screen. That's good.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's bring in my man, Jorge. He's back. He's back like a track. What's up out there, Jorge? What are we seeing, my friend?
Yeah, sorry, I left by accident.
I know.
Yeah, I
We
was
know
gonna
it. We
explain
know
a
it,
little bit
man.
about my strategy. So I just
Yeah, please do.
Firstly, so for example, I saw that QNTM, was moving up strongly, but then it started to slow down around this area. So I was watching MACD. When I saw that MACD crossed down, it was a signal for me that it was weak and that it might start pushing down. So I enter about in this area. In order to protect my gains, I set up a tight stop loss. If it breaks 15, I was gonna be out and then re-enter short at a higher level. But in this time, I screwed up because it hit my stop loss and then it instantly flushed down. So at the end of the day, my strategy worked, but I just wasn't patient or I didn't time it correctly. So started to fail. Then I was waiting for this flush so that it crosses down VWAP. Then I panic. I enter short below VWAP, and then it bounced up, so I stop out. So I screw it up, but that's basically what I do for my strategy. I watch MACD. I like to see like big MACD moves in the day. So I try sometimes. MACD works for me better during pre-market, like at around 7 a.m. because it's when companies release news, and then MACD starts to extend very high. So it is during pre-market when it works the best, but during market hours we have big moves like this one, and it's when I start looking at the MACD and use it for my strategy. So I also look at the float. Like if it's like a nano float, like less than 2 million, I don't follow my strategy precisely because with these ones that are very low float, they bounce quickly. So I wait for a second bounce up in just in MACD, So I wait for the second cross down for these very low float stocks. So yeah, that's basically what
Interesting.
I use. So this time it worked, but I just like wasn't patient enough because I stopped out when it hit my stop loss level, and then it instantly flushed down. So it worked in this time. Another setup that I like is seeing stocks, failing during pre-market. Like this one, CJMB, it moved from 4 all the way up to 11, and then it went down and it failed all pre-market. So I waited for it to bounce up towards VWAP. I entered short, and then I've seen these type of stocks like keep failing during market hours most of the times, not always, but most of the times. So in these times I took like just one trade. So because I got distracted with something else, and I saw that keep failing during market hours. So this is another setup that I like. And this time it worked for me, but it just didn't capitalize more, because I got distracted watching other stocks. But yeah, that's basically the two main setups that I like. I also like using VWAP, for example, with LIPO. No. Yeah, LIPO. So, this one was the strongest stock when market opened, but then it just fell. So I was waiting for it to start going below VWAP. But yeah, in this one I had 2 red trades, 1 green trade. But yeah, and 1 flat trade. But yeah,
No,
that's pretty much, MACD is the main one I use.
I love that, and it's old school, right? It's the MACD is one of those that have been around for a long time. It's a very simple but just powerful trend following system. So if you're just looking to follow trends, then it's the way she goes. It's a good way to do it. So I love that when I love when systems are clean and simple like that, right? So just for the audience, just looking for something that's getting a little overdone, something that's getting a little wacky, like quantum, which I don't think any of us knows what it. We looked, it was a marijuana stock, but just moving because it's got quantum in the name, I think, and it's got no flow to it. And yeah, just letting an indicator confirm a thesis. So I get people all the time. I hear indicators don't work. It's like, yeah, if you took every MACD cross on every system every stock out there, you're gonna get murdered. So what Jorge is doing here is just basically saying, I'm gonna use this to kind of guide my entry and exit criteria, but I'm gonna wait until I pick the stock and then wait for the MACD to confirm it. So I'm not just blindly hitting buttons waiting for something to follow verbatim, but I'm using this as kind of like a system, as a guide of what it is you're looking at. So
it took me time, practicing with MACD, and I don't look for like big moves using MACD. I kind of like just scalp it. I just scalp it. I don't really look for big moves because in the past I waited for big moves using MACD, but I always got destroyed. So I just like use it for scalps. It works for that. It also works on the other side. For example, I saw that MACD got extended a lot when it started to move up QNTM. So I use it to do like quick scalps right here and right here for 2, green trades. So it also works on the other way. I don't really, I don't really use it to go long. It's more to go short, but sometimes I took longs using MACD. But it's usually when it makes big moves, not like the little moves as you mentioned.
So, yeah, and again, I think that's a good one as well. And so most of the time, short is just because you've tested both sides and it works out better, or is it just because you're shorting these kind of crazy guys? Is that why you spend a lot of your time to the short side instead of the long?
Well, I noticed that I feel more confident shorting it than going long, because at the beginning I started using it to go long, but I just couldn't time it correctly. I think I got scared of flushing. Then I just decided to wait until it slows down and then enter short. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a short bias trader.
All right, guys, I'm going to jump in here. I'm expecting the market to heat up again here now as the Qs have bounced a little bit, and it's been on the 15-minute straight down action. I like that rejection right now off the 9 EMA. Let's see if we break down through the low. looking to see if the VXX could break the highs and start to jump. If that jump could happen, I could see it getting towards around 43.33. So we're talking 70 cents higher. I'm going for a bigger trade here in the VXX. I got about 700 shares, willing to add at 42.70 to get to 1,000 shares, and then risk off the VWAP. I'll risk probably about $200 on this trade, taking a little bit of a shot here on the VXX, and we'll see if MSTR can go ahead and cash for me. I'm still on that trade, and I just have it sitting there, guys, and working. So you guys can see it here. I am on it. I'm long. I have a position at 507. I have a break even stop, and I'm just trying to let it keep working. If it could break out, if MSTR can go to the next layer here on the hourly, it could head to 327, even 320s. So if that happened, I'd get my cash. So at the end of the day, just got to stay with the trade and see what happens here.
Good. So, time frame was the other thing I just wanted to ask, Jorge. Are you're in the morning, you're taking these shots, then you're done in the afternoon, or are you here all day?
No, just in the mornings. Yeah. I try to start trading at 7 a.m. Eastern time, and I'm usually done by 9:30. No, sorry, 9:30, 10:30. Like just 1 hour after market open. So right now I'm trading longer hours than usual, but yeah,
At you in the lunchtime.
yeah. Well, here I'm in Redbird, Idaho,
I hear that,
so
right?
So here it's just 9 a.m. It's about to be 9 a.m. here, my time. But
yeah, but more and more I'm hearing from traders that they're and like day traders specifically, that they're done by the open. A lot of people, like you were mentioning, the pre-market and trading in there. Again, a lot of people, they're just they like the fact that the institutions aren't hanging out in the pre-market. So I've heard people say moves are cleaner, right? They make a little bit more sense, that kind of thing. And then they're just they're they trade that the pre-market, they trade the open, then they're gone, because that's again where the institutions start to come in more in the afternoon, the evening, and they say it makes it maybe a little bit less clean. Is that what you notice? Is that what you picking that time, or is it just more about you're picking it because of life?
Yeah, I noticed that for my strategy, pre-market and when market opens is when there are better moves with MACD. The best time for me is pre-market. 7 a.m. is when companies start releasing news. MACD starts to move up a lot, so it is when we're the best.
I agree.
So yeah,
with
and
that,
I'm usually done by market open. Sometimes I stay a little bit longer, 1 hour after market open, because I don't see like interesting moves in MACDs after an hour when market open.
Yeah, I agree with that early morning slot there between let's say from 6 to 7. There's usually going to be one of these or two of these. You just have to be fast, right? They're going to go up fast and they're going to come back down fast, and that's the key of the pre-market. And part of that is the liquidity thing, right? No stops, so the limits kind of jump all over themselves. People try to jump all over themselves to try to get in, and then the same thing on the downside, right? They just get washed through because there's no stops, right? And so everyone's taking manual trades essentially, right? And so that actually, I think, increases the ability for retail to make money. So Jorge, I'm with it on that. If there's anywhere where I've made the money, it's around that 6:30 time. That's probably the best time for me. I start taking a look for those trades. But the key there is really looking in the morning, finding which names are up, seeing if there's any catalyst with it. And then I just look at this scanner right here. I just look to make sure that the change in the 5% jumps to 5%, right? Really quickly. Then I'll look for some pullbacks. And I'd love to see it like this EQ is setting up here, where it's at 4 and the 15 minutes at 11%. So essentially it's holding in on the 15-minute chart and starting new momentum on the 5-minute. That can give me the ability to catch the run, right? And so a lot of times I'm just trying to catch it off the scanners. EQ, nice little setup, right? Just trying to get back through $1, just push through that 80 cent spot. A lot of times you could get to like maybe $1.20 and then turn around. But those are the types of things that I'm looking at. And then I'd look for moments like this where, yeah, it was making that 5% move and then now has just pulled back, giving me an ability to risk out support and take a shot back towards the upside. But I like the strategy. I think it's definitely one that is in play. I've seen it. I've used this account, the limited account, for certain trades just like that, just focusing on pre-market and nailing 1 or 2 stocks. And you could do just 1 or 2 trades a day on that, right? Just literally trying to nail that. And you could not even trade in the open. You could just pre-market trade, literally. If it came, it showed up, and I was able to react fast enough, I took the trade. If not, I let it go and I end the day, right? That could be a trading strategy within itself there, where you're just a pre-market trader. Like by the time the open comes, you don't even hang out. And I don't even like the ones right before 9:30. I don't know about you, Jorge. I hate the ones that I'm in at like 9:10 and then it still hasn't made the move towards 9:30. I think that just leaves more and more room for liquidity grabs out the gates. And the next thing you know, I just get washed. I have made money on those, but it's difficult. It's difficult.
No, yeah, I try to avoid trading, between 9 and 9:30. So yeah, I think at that time, sometimes I don't know what the stock is gonna do when market opens. So I try just avoid taking a trade or position. If I see something very clear, I go and jump in. But yeah, I just basically avoid that time, those 30 minutes before market opens. So hey guys, I'm gonna call it a day.
Yeah, we're all calling it a day. No worry, Jorge. We're all calling it a day, my friend. We're getting on out of here, guys. I hope you guys appreciated the action today. Jorge coming in. Thank you for stopping by. Of course, Funded Trader. I know we get questions all the time about the evals, and I just point to guys like this, guys, that really kind of get it done, right? Jorge, you guys see it. He's not making excuses either. There's going to be ups and downs, and I think that's the important part. But learn from it, right? And try to get to it. Like I always say, it's not about comparison. It's about understanding the recipe for success. Jorge found his recipe for success. Maybe we can learn from it. Like always, guys, check out his Funded Trader interview. We have it right here on our YouTube. So you guys can check out and learn more about Jorge. That's how Steph's asking some questions in the chat, like emotions and things. I love to see this. It just shows us that our audience is catching those interviews and learning from it. So Jorge, thank you for taking some time today to spend some time with us. We'll look forward to having you back, maybe bi-weekly, monthly, but definitely look forward to having you on here. And don't forget, the door is always open, my friend. You see a setup, you want to bring it to the team, hey, let us know. We'll definitely bring it to them. So thank you for coming by today.
Okay, thanks,
Michael.
So
that's it, man. Markets, it's one of those days where I'm sure us three. I mean, the way the market's working, we could be here all day, man. But have a good one today, guys. Stay safe, stay smart. Markets are moving fast. It's going to be always wicked moves in a Trump presidency. So stay open, guys. Stay open.
Yeah.
All right,
keep
guys.
Your eyes peeled.
That's going to do it for us today, guys. Like always, guys, smash the like, guys. We'll be back on Monday action. So definitely smash the like for that. We'll keep it going right here. None other than TTP Live. Hit that subscribe if you're not subscribed already.